My name is Leila Rizgar, and I came to Rojava about a year ago as an internationalist. Now, internationalism is not, coming here as an internationalist is not the same as coming as an international person, because internationalism is a kind of political thought that that means that everybody who's involved in liberationary struggles, it's their duty to not just work for the liberation of their own people or their own area, but for everybody who's fighting in this way, you know, like, okay, I could be far away in my own country and I could say, oh, as long as I manage to free my own people, then it's enough. But no, for internationalists, this is not enough. You know, we have to support everybody who's fighting to create the world that they want to live in. And so, yeah, it's a tradition that's really long and beautiful. You know, many people from across the world throughout the last centuries have travelled to fight for each other. And the most famous example is, of course, the Spanish Civil War, where thousands of people travelled to Spain to fight against the forces of fascism. And thousands of people also died in this fight because, you know, this is one of the important points of internationalism. It's not saying separation between your people and other people. And of course, if you love your own people enough to fight for them and die for them, and I think you have to be a revolutionary, then you also love people from far away enough to fight for them and die for them, and maybe you've never even met them. But this is the principle, this is one of the principles of the revolution here, and so we as internationalists also take this on. And, you know, and it's something not just as international people that we have these values, but also the people who lived here and are fighting for the place that they are born in, that their families have lived in for generations, that they also take on these values, you know. There have been international shaheeds, international martyrs, since many, many years in this place. And so one of the forces behind the revolution is that we build things up even stronger and even greater in the memory of the people that have fallen shaheed, that have become martyrs. So even if there were no more international people that came to Rojava to fight, which I don't think it will ever happen, then the fight would still be continued in memory of those international people who have died here. And so I think this is something really beautiful for the revolution, and you know, to feel like we can all fight together to create a better world. And yeah, and it is a better world here, you know. Like, okay, I haven't been here for a super long time, but I've seen that if you really work hard and if you really have this dedication and belief in yourself and in the goodness of people, that you can really build a world that is more beautiful. And you know, for instance, the commune system in Rojava, this is like an example of the smallest way that we can work together, you know, because in the place where I come from, the state says, okay, we're going to control everything that you do. We know what's best for you. We know what's best for everyone. And they do it, and they make you do it, they force you to do it. Otherwise they take away your house, your job, your identity, whatever they want, because the state has ultimate control. But here, the people who have built up the revolution say, no, this is not the best way. Each person living inside a small village or area knows what's best for them. So this is the way that we organise. This is the commune system. Each small village or area in a town organises among themselves. They meet every 2 weeks. They elect representatives, and they decide what they need, and they take representatives or delegations to higher councils who decide bigger things. Of course, I can't really explain it very well in 2 minutes, and I'm in the military structure, so I don't know it that well, but I have been to I have been to families and spoke to people, and it really seems like not just a pipe dream here, you know, something that is working. And of course, because it's a real revolution and not just some PhD student's thesis, you know, not just some history book, of course, yeah, there are problems. And people fight and get angry with each other, but this is a revolution which is built up of the people that participate in it, and people can work these things out, you know, like yeah, like it's a revolution that can change. It's not something that's just fixed and that has an ideology on it from above. Like, for instance, look at the people who lived in the area who started the revolution were the Kurds, right? So when it started, the liberated area was known as Rojava, Western Kurdistan. But now the liberated areas have increased to include Manbij and Deir ez-Zor and Raqqa. So people said, okay, even though Kurds have been fighting for many decades for the liberation, it's not just our liberation, it's the liberation of everyone. So now we say it's not anymore the revolution of Rojava, it's the revolution of northern Syria. And it can grow and expand to include as many areas as is needed. And it can change in every area to give each people what they need, but at the same time retain this smallness that means that everybody's voice can be heard. And this is another really important principle of the revolution. It's the enthusiastic and voluntary participation of as many people as possible. So whatever part of you is important that you feel like needs to be represented, it can be represented, whether that's gender, age, belief, culture, party. You can make up a commune for this, you can make up a representative group, and you can have your voices heard in the councils. But of course, it's not just building up something beautiful here, it's also defending ourselves from the attacks of outside, you know, like I gave the example of the Spanish Civil War. Well, people are also fighting against fascism here, you know, you have Daesh and al-Nusra and all of the other fascist groups that sprang up during the Syrian war. But of course, Daesh is just one symptom of a patriarchal system and of a chauvinistic and nationalistic mindset that thinks that it's okay to kill women, that it's okay to enslave people and kill people because of differences. And you don't just see that here, but across the world. And I don't know, maybe some people think, oh, Daesh is almost finished, then that will be the end of the problem. No. There's many other groups that have the same ideology. Like I said, there's al-Nusra, who there's still a lot in Jarablus, and many dozens of different small groups who have the same ideology as Daesh. And friends have fought and died in thousands so bravely. But this problem isn't finished. And we have the example of the attacks on Afrin at the moment by the Turkish state, who are just using these terrorists as their foot soldiers, just throwing them at Afrin, and they're exactly the same as, you know, a quick search on the internet will show you some videos that show that these terrorists, they're exactly the same as Daesh. Some of them are unashamedly Daesh soldiers. So it's like the problem hasn't finished, and now it's become even bigger, and because it's the second biggest army of NATO is behind them. And so I don't know, I feel like this is a really important and terrifying time, because friends have fought for so long, people have fought for so long and made so many sacrifices, and now there's a bigger enemy than ever.